Hello, it's Alex, the Bookubus. Just a quick Bleak Week wrap-up video today. I survived Bleak Week, which I guess is the main thing, and I enjoyed most of the films that we had picked, so that's good. I did decide to do a very quick, initial thoughts video after each film, so I will include that here. As a bonus, you will get to see my external recovery of the mouth surgery that I had last week. So that's a fun bonus for you. And also at some point during the past week I got my hair cut, but I think there's a segment of video where I'm like, I got my hair cut, but it's so dark, I'm literally just like a floating face, so you would never have known whether I'd done anything to my hair. Anyway, it just amused me, so you've got that to look forward to. But yeah, I will run the little initial thoughts segments, and then I will be back to talk about the films a little bit more in detail. It is day one of Bleak Week, and yesterday I had mouth surgery, so my face is kind of swollen. I've got stitches in my gums, so yeah, it's a whole immersive experience. Anyway, we kicked off Bleak Week today with Happy End, which was really good. Yeah, an excellent drama. Not the bleakest film, or not the bleakest Haneke film, but I really enjoyed it. It definitely had some bleak elements to it, but it wasn't like traumatizing or anything. So yeah, we started off easy with that one, I think, and yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings. It is now Friday night, and we've just watched Bleak Week film number 2, which was Kes, and it was really good. Not as bleak as I thought it was going to be. It was a bit sad, but yeah, not quite as bleak and sad as I expected. So survived this one without getting through too many tissues, and yeah. Tomorrow is hard to be a god though, so that's gonna be something else. It is Bleak Week day 3. We just watched Rosetta, and I have mixed feelings about it. I'm still trying to decide what my overall thoughts were. Definitely a bleak one regarding the main character's life situation, but I just had a really hard time sympathizing with the character, so yeah. Anyway, I will hopefully formulate some more thoughts by the time I do my wrap-up. And in other news, I feel like my face swelling is starting to go down a bit. I have some bruising. It's not just food on my face. But yeah, I still feel pretty sore. Wearing a festive jumper today because it's been the Christmas Evil live stream. So I've been kind of dipping in and out of that, watching that during the day, which has been really fun. But yeah, that's it for now. Hello, it is Monday. Bleak Week day 5, I think, and I didn't do a film segment yesterday because we watched Hard to Be a God. It's 3 hours long, and by the time it was over I was just really tired and ready for bed, so I didn't have the energy to film. But thoughts on Hard to Be a God. Visually interesting and impressive as a film, production wise, etc. But yeah, super long. Not sure I really got it. But yeah, so kind of a mixed bag for me. Glad I watched it. but not my favourite of the week, I will say. Also, I got my hair cut, very exciting. My swelling in my face is definitely going down, still pretty sore though. Anyway, today we watched Streetwise, which is a documentary. Yeah, I cried. It was very bleak, but really, really interesting. It's basically about street kids. I think it's set in Seattle in the 80s. Yeah, so yeah, obviously real people. And yeah, just the things that they do living on the streets. It was a kind of a rough watch, but really, really interesting. A really, really great documentary. So yeah, it might be the bleakest one yet, and also my favourite so far of the week. Bleak week, day 6. We watched Speak No Evil, and pretty bleak. Yeah, pretty disturbing. But I think, yeah, really excellent film. Yeah, some of it didn't quite work for me, and I kind of have some questions, but I think overall it was an interesting watch, and yeah, it definitely fit for Bleak Week. I had my stitches out earlier today, so my mouth is now really sore all over again. Bleak Week, day 7, and we watched Grave of the Fireflies, which was very sad. I cried. Yeah, it was definitely a sad and bleak one. One I've been putting off for many years because, yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be a fun watch. But glad we watched it. And yeah, with that, Bleak Week is over. We made it. So that's exciting. Until next year. So first up, we watched Happy End, directed by Michael Haneke, who I think is an amazing director. And yeah, this film was a really excellent one. It's essentially about a dysfunctional family and just the various things that are going on within the family, and it touches on themes like class and race and mental health and age, amongst other things. I think it's a really interesting film, definitely some bleak themes to it, and yeah, just a really great film to talk about. Like, it brings up so many topics of conversation that you could just chat about it for a really long time, I think. And also, I just am really impressed. Like, Haneke is one of my favourite directors, and you know, he made this film, like, I think he was in his 70s, excuse me, when he made this, and I'm just like, that's really impressive. I just think he's wonderful. So yeah, this was an excellent one. I gave it 4 stars. Bleak but great. Then we watched Cares, which was another 4-star film for me. So this is about a young boy. It's set in Yorkshire in the UK, and he, yeah, is kind of bullied. Some people at school bully him, and then his older brother is a real dick, basically, and he, yeah, doesn't do very well in school, doesn't have any direction in life, but he is really interested in nature and animals, and he ends up, through a chain of events, he ends up training this hawk, a kestrel to be specific, and he calls it Kez. And anyway, it's quite a meandering story, and a lot of it is kind of just everyday life, kitchen sink kind of stuff, as we see different facets of his life. But yeah, definitely some bleakness, and it was sad. I cried a little bit. I thought this one was going to be a lot more traumatizing than it ended up being, so I guess, yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing that I wasn't too distraught over it, but it was a sad one. A really excellent film though, I would definitely recommend it. And let's see, next up we watched Rosetta, which ended up being my least favourite of all of the ones we watched. This is about a young woman who, doesn't have a great life, and her mother is an alcoholic, and she's like trying to take care of her, but they're in a shitty situation basically, and struggling financially, and she ends up losing her job and is trying to find another job. And I think my issue with this one, I had two kind of main issues, I guess. One was just the directing style was just not really my thing, I guess. I mean, most of the film, we're just following her as she runs from one place to another, and it's all like handheld shaky cam. And then a lot of it is just very close-up shots of things happening or not happening, as the case may be. So yeah, I just wasn't really like jiving with the visual style of it. And then I think the other thing was that while I could sympathise with her situation, I just didn't find her to be a very sympathetic character. I found her to be very abrasive, and I think a lot of her decisions and just actions I found very frustrating. So yeah, I think if you can sympathise with her more, then you'd probably have a better experience with the film overall. But it was just more of a it's probably not for me kind of film, rather than me thinking it's a bad film necessarily. So it's not that I wouldn't recommend it, but it just didn't really do it for me. I only gave it 2 stars, which was maybe a bit harsh, but there you go. Next was Hard to Be a God, which is like 3 hours long and quite a lengthy watch. This one was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was kind of a hard one to rate, really, because visually it's very impressive. It's beautiful and stunning, and there's just a lot going on. And I think just the way that production wise that it was constructed and shot, and all of the different actors involved and stuff was really fantastic. But it is a very meandering kind of story, and at times I just either it didn't seem like anything was happening, or I didn't know what was happening. Some of it definitely went over my head. So yeah, I think partly it was just, I don't know what's going on here, and I'm not feeling anything, I'm not getting anything out of this. But then, on the other hand, it was an interesting watch in some respects, and one that I guess I can now say I've watched, so well done me. Next up we watched Streetwise, which is a documentary. This ended up being my favourite of the whole week. I gave it 4.5 stars. So this originally started as an article, I believe. I forget the journalist's name, but the photographer who did the accompanying photos was Mary Ellen Mark, who's a pretty famous documentary photographer, photojournalist, and I think that set off a documentary to be made, essentially following a bunch of street kids in Seattle in the 1980s. And this was just a really excellent documentary. I loved the way that it was shot. It's very just fly on the wall, you're just watching stuff happen. The people involved in the filmmaking weren't, you kind of didn't know they were there almost. And the kids that were in the film were just all super interesting. Definitely plenty of bleakness here, and definitely it got very sad. This one I think made me cry the most, and it's just very sad to even think about it. I made the mistake after watching the film to look up what happened to some of them, and it was not the right decision to make, because unfortunately things didn't work out well for a lot of the the people in this film, and that's just really, really sad and heartbreaking. Yeah, it's a weird mix because like a lot of the film, because it's like it seemed to be shot in the summertime, and so, you know, it's probably like the most positive side of street life that you would, you know, witness, I guess, in that respect. And yeah, there's definitely times when you get caught up in their, you know, their youthfulness and their, you know, invincibility and their positivity, you know, about their decisions and their life, you know, even though it's not great. And yeah, you know, you there were times in the film when you just get caught up in that, but obviously it's not a fun life, you know, at the end of the day, and they have a lot of struggles, and yeah, very bleak. So this was definitely fitting for the week. Yeah, anyway, highly recommend it. It's also just really great for, like, if you like the 80s, it's great for like the people watching and the fashions of the time, that kind of stuff. So yeah, really good. Then we watched Speak No Evil, which I had heard was a disturbing one, so, but also bleak, so that's why I added it to the list. And yeah, this is about a family who meet another family while they're on holiday, and then the one family invites the others to come stay with them. And yeah, since they got on, they figure why not. But yeah, it turns out the host family are crazy people, and things go horribly wrong for the visiting family. So yeah, I don't want to say too much about this one. I obviously don't want to get into spoilers, but yeah, definitely very tense at times. Yeah, bleak themes, disturbing. I thought it was a really, well-made film. I thought it handled that idea of, you know, social etiquette, social niceties, and kind of not standing up for yourself or being able to say no to something just because, you know, social norms dictate otherwise. I think there were definitely a couple of times when the believability of that got pushed a bit, but I think the direction that the story went definitely made it worthwhile to go through those things to get to where it ended up. So yeah, I thought this one was great. I've heard some kind of mixed feelings about this one, but I thought it was excellent. So yeah, highly recommend, and I would be curious to see what the director does next. And then last up we watched Grave of the Fireflies, which is an animated film set during World War II and following this young brother and sister after they lose their family during, you know, air raids. And yeah, definitely bleak and sad. And yeah, this is one I had heard about, you know, many years ago, and it was one of those ones that I know I want to see it one day, but I know it's gonna really devastate me, so I had put it off for a very long time. And yeah, I will say, it, like Cares, it wasn't nearly as traumatizing as I thought it might be. Yeah, definitely very bleak and very sad. I cried more than once, but it wasn't, yeah, like as bad a watching experience, I guess, as I thought it might be. So I guess that's something. But yeah, I really loved the animation style and the way that the story was told. Yeah, a really heartbreaking story, and you know, it also has that, like, that charm and beauty that, you know, Studio Ghibli films have, but then it also has, yeah, the horrors of war and the devastation of that, and then, yeah, just the awful story that happens, yeah, with these two kids. So very sad, but I think, yeah, a really excellent film, and one that I would highly recommend if you have not seen it. So those were all of the films that we watched for Bleak Week 2022, the second annual Bleak Week. So yeah, we'll definitely do it again next year, I imagine, because I think it's an interesting exercise, and yeah, we get to watch some films that we might otherwise put off on, like, you know, a regular Wednesday or whatever. So I think it's good to, yeah, broaden your watching experiences, and yeah, this is a good way to do that. Yeah, thank you to everyone who has watched any of the Bleak Week videos I put out already, and yeah, it's been great to hear some recommendations from you guys. Yeah, so I've added them to the Bleak Week tab in my movie spreadsheet, because everyone has one of those, right? But yeah, anyway, I guess that's about it. I guess dental wise, I'm still recovering from, yeah, the surgery and having the sutures out. Like, things are, seems like they're healing, but like my gums are still really sore and not looking great, I guess. So yeah, I have a mouthwash that I'm using, and I'm on antibiotics, and then yeah, just keeping my fingers crossed really that things will heal up okay. But anyway, enough of that. If you celebrate anything at this time of year, then I hope you have a great one. And yeah, whether you do or don't celebrate anything, I hope you're having a great December. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!